That's your response to a lot of things.
Yeah, because a lot of them
I literally
are
say
problems.
anything. I'm like, hey, yo, my grandma's dying of cancer.
You've
It sounds like a you
never said
problem.
anything like that to me.
It sounds like a you problem.
Oh my gosh. See, here you go. Misconstruing things that I say.
Aaron.
It's the Joseph way.
Hey, you might
And speaking
be right.
of misconstruing things that I say.
This is what we're starting with?
Yes, this is what we're starting with. Are you willing to admit that you were wrong last week?
Here, wait. Give me a second. So I want to make a formal announcement.
Okay.
And say that I've been informed after last week's episode, after like we spent like 30 minutes of it, like just me being like, no, not every black person has heard of whatever the movie was called.
Set it off.
And you being the editor, listened back to it, and apparently you didn't even say that.
Nope, I did not.
So I don't know. I mean, I haven't listened to myself, so I don't know personally. May not believe you, but...
Oh my God. Do you want me to put it in this episode too? Do we want to continue this?
I won't hear it.
Well, the viewers will, and that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. They'll know that you're wrong, even
flashback.
If you don't.
See, but you could have deep faked it or something,
Joseph, I don't have enough samples of your voice to deep fake it. We've only been doing this podcast for like a few months.
It's you who said it.
Okay, so what are you going to deep fake me saying?
You just cut it out. That's the deep fake.
That's not deep fake. That's just editing.
Yeah. What's the difference? Anyway, so I've been informed that I was in the wrong. I will say that if this is correct, then I was wrong. And I find it so odd that I would like double down disproving a statement you didn't make. I feel like for me, I've known the guy a while, but that doesn't sound like a Joseph thing. But
I'm putting the clip in this episode too, and you're gonna be looking real silly.
All right. Well, if that is the case, then I don't know. My bad. Because I don't know. I like. Maybe the hyperboles are just like in my head.
It wasn't even hyperbole what I said though.
Yeah.
All I said was that it was a certified hood classic. Mm-hmm. That's it.
I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't trust you. I feel like you said more than that.
See, here you go again. You're doing it again.
I feel like you're gaslighting me.
You're the one who's gaslighting me, making me doubt myself and being like, man, maybe this movie isn't as, as prominent as I thought it was, but I consulted my siblings and cousins in the Sibling Rivalry Patreon, and I got 3 responses. And the first one says, and they're all from black people, because I can see their profile pictures. This one says, it's a solidified gold, all caps, hood classic. It introduced us to Kimberly Elise. She is, I think that was her breakout role. And she would later go on to star as the titular black woman in Diary of a Mad Black Woman. It's such a hood classic that UPN, I'm assuming this is like a channel, used to play it every Saturday. It sits next to Waiting to Exhale, which I'm sure you also haven't heard of. Honestly, Waiting to Exhale is such a funny movie, and it's not a comedy. But that's neither here nor there. And Soul Food, and the grown-up VHSs, and my grandma's and auntie's VHSs that I wasn't allowed to watch unless they were on TV. Now, one thing to note about the movie Set It Off is that it came out in 1996. So that might be why us young folk potentially haven't heard of it. So I'll give you that concession. But the fact that I'm younger than you and I have heard of it, that doesn't make sense. But whatever. This next person says it's undeniably a hood classic. There's no debate.
Okay. Jeez.
And the third person
to glare at me for a solid 3 seconds.
The third person said, Set It Off is definitely a certified hood classic and at least a low-level sexual awakening. So, I think it's been settled.
What about your community post?
Well, I got 10 votes on it, but the results were not yielding very much.
She said,
I cannot verify whether or not the people who actually responded were black. So that's why. 20% said they've seen it. 20% say they've heard of it but haven't seen it. And 60% say they've never heard of it. But again,
so
unverifiable.
2 people said, yeah.
Sure. Let's
I mean, it's 10 votes.
Okay, yeah. Anyways.
And you're that bad at math.
It is settled. Why'd you
even do the post if it's unverifiable?
Well, I wanted to prove a point, Joseph.
It said black people only.
Yes, and some people will be lying on the internet, so, you know.
I don't know, man. You don't trust your fan base? Your loyal subscribers?
I have no idea who sees these community posts, because it's not just subscribers.
I don't know. Maybe, yeah. Well,
I have one more question for you, Joseph. Are you going to ask what the question is?
No.
You're just going to look at me? Okay. Do you eat grits?
Is this a trap?
No, this isn't a trap. I'm legit asking. Okay, do you know what they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Interesting.
I know they're like a breakfast food. If you asked me like what they're made out of, I couldn't tell you.
What are they made out of?
Oats?
No. I'll give you one more.
It's mush.
No. Well, yes, it is mush. But it's made out of ground up corn.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I love corn.
Well, grits does not taste like corn. It tastes like nothing. And honestly, they're kind of gross. I don't like them. But I saw this documentary.
On grits?
Yes. From 1978.
Did you log it on Letterboxd?
I should have. Oh my goodness.
Hey, you haven't logged in a while.
I suppose that's true, but I haven't been watching many movies. But
I'll be surprised if this is on here. I only watch the first 10 minutes of Dune every day.
It's how I start my day.
You can't log the first 10 minutes of Dune.
Unfortunately, you can't. Well, yeah, sure, I guess.
You need to make some classified as a short film.
The first 10 minutes of Dune.
Put it on TMDB.
What is TMDB?
Apparently TMDB is what Letterboxd uses to for its movies, basically. It's powered by TMDB. So if I think it's the movie database instead of Internet Movie Database, something like that.
Interesting. I'm not finding it.
Let me see. Sad. Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
No, I'm talking about the documentary that I saw.
Oh. Well, yeah, Letterboxd's powered by TMDB or whatever, I think.
But it's a short documentary. I'm pretty sure it's called It's Grits.
Yeah, here, look at the very bottom. Film data from TMDB.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the documentary that I saw was called It's Grits. It's put out in 1978. 1979. And I was looking for archival footage for work, and I came across it on the Internet Archive. It's honestly a really nice documentary. It's just a guy going around asking people, both in South Carolina and New York City, if they've eaten grits. And it's a nice look into the past, I think. But the music is super weird. I don't know why, but the audio is messed up. But anyways, that's all I had to ask. I don't like them. I think they're gross. And that documentary almost made me forget that I thought that they were gross. Because that's how charming it was.
Is it just yes and no's? Or is there
Well, when he goes up north, there's people who don't know what he's talking about. For some reason, people think it's Italian food. Because he goes to this multicultural street food fair and asks people oh, I'm seeing a lot of stuff from a lot of places, but why am I not seeing any grits? So yeah, I think a similar thing is polenta, which is cornmeal, but you add water and cook it. Grits specifically is a specific thing because it actually goes to a grist mill. That's what it's called. Where they grind up corn. And what you get out of it is you get cornmeal, you get the grits, and you get a coarser grit, I guess is the singular. And then you get the hull of the corn. So that part was really interesting.
Let's do the intro. I don't think it's that interesting.
Well, that was all I had to say about it. So anyways, this is episode 12 of the Not Just Arin podcast. I am Arin, and you are not Arin.
I am not familiar.
Not
I am not familiar.
Not Arin.
I am not familiar with the number 12.
Anyway, today we do actually have a topic, and today we're going to... No, hold on, don't woo.
Woo.
Our off-topic videos were so much fun.
Woo.
Anyways.
Woo.
Stop. Stop. Our topic for today is moving. And I thought about doing moving for today's topic because not only will I be moving somewhat soon, but you also will be moving soonish. And I had it on the brain. Yeah. I had it on the brain and I realized that the both of us have kind of sort of moved around, I would say more than the average person, because, you know, some people, they live on this earth only ever having lived in one house until they, like, go off to college or, like, in one place. And you and I don't have that luxury, so.
I feel like this is news to me. I thought you've lived in, like, your whole life.
I have, but not in the same house.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think we've moved, like, more than most people, though.
Wait, did you just dox me?
Sorry.
That is so...
You can cut it.
I can.
My bad.
But, yeah.
I mean, is it a big city?
I mean, no.
Okay,
which is exactly why I don't want people knowing that's where I live.
Oof it. This is the power of editing.
Yeah. Don't do it again. Anyway, you were saying?
Yeah, I don't think I knew. I don't know. I didn't know how much you moved.
Not as much as you have, probably. Actually, no, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even then, like, not even knowing how many times you've moved, I feel like it's still a normal amount. I feel like more the people that have never moved, that's like the uncommon thing. Mm-hmm. I feel like more people move than don't, you know?
I think that's only something that's more common recently. Because looking at my parents, my mom and her siblings have, like, lived in the same house for more or less their entire lives. So, and my dad and his sibling, they've lived in the same house, like, forever. So I think that's more of a recent thing. Obviously, that's kind of dependent on your job. Neither of us are, as they call them, military brats, so we don't really have a big reason to
Do they have
move
to be
around.
called brats? I thought they're just military kids.
Well, that's what they call themselves. I'm not calling them brats.
Okay.
Yeah, so children of military people do tend to move around because they get, like, restationed or whatever it is. But yeah, we did not have that. But still, we be moving.
Yeah.
So I think I'll start with you because I think you have more of an interesting story. But this is a not just Arin exclusive, but Joseph is an immigrant.
I mean, yeah.
It's not exclusive because we did talk about it once, but...
Okay. Well, yeah, it sounds kind of cool that way. Got that dual citizenship.
With?
Honduras.
Yes.
And the U.S.
Which is?
Central America. Wait,
it's not in South America.
Central, yeah.
Okay.
It's in between. I guess technically North America, but...
No, Central America is its own, like, distinct region.
It's not a continent.
No.
Exactly.
But neither is India, but it gets its own subcontinent.
I don't think I knew that. But, yeah, dual citizenship, Honduras and the U.S., born in Honduras.
Mm-hmm. Do you know when you moved or, like, left?
Let me think about this. Because, yes.
We don't have to say why, just, like, when. Like, do you remember moving to the United States? Okay.
I mean, do you know why?
No.
Okay.
But I have a feeling, based on your pause,
that
I can surmise why.
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm comfortable, like, talking about it. My only like potential gripe is, like, if my siblings listen to the podcast and I don't know about it, they've never told me they have, so I don't think they do. Mm-hmm. Or I guess if a person that I don't talk to also listens to it, I don't know how they would, but yeah. Well, I feel like I want to talk about it, and then maybe, like, afterwards we can make, like, the judgment call of, like, if we edit it out or something, you know?
Okay.
Because I feel like I'm comfortable talking about it. So, I was in Honduras for a year when...
Of life?
Yeah.
Okay.
After being born, and I guess my parents had, like, a very rocky relationship. I guess I will say not of my mom's fault. She was not the issue. And she had decided, she was like, I need to leave. I need to get out of here. And so she made a plan. she got me and I think some tickets and I guess fled to the US. And so that was like, I guess the first time I moved. And apparently it was I don't know if I've ever been like fully told the story, but it was a big deal because I believe both of my parents went to like court over it. Because I think we'll say biological father, he was like, yo, this is wrong. And my mom was like, no, it's not. And I believe it was a big deal because it's like, one, it's like this interracial relationship, I guess in the 90s or early, I guess it must have been like 99 probably, or maybe early 2000. And I guess they went to court over it. And I believe like the news reported on it because it's like, oh, like, you know, the wife fled with the kid and like they're going to court over it. And it was like.
It was in the United States or in Honduras?
In Virginia Beach. Where I guess I was moved to, Virginia Beach, Virginia. So I believe one of my parents told me that I was like on the news as like a baby, which is kind of cool, a little famous, you know. I proceeded to do I don't know, it's not like a Fortnite dance, but I feel like Fortnite. Well, Fortnite didn't invent it, but Fortnite popularized it. They stole it. Yeah, they stole it.
Shut up. You were saying.
Anyway, that was my first move because of, you know, pretty intense. Not because of pretty intense. It was intense. Yeah.
So you moved from Honduras to Virginia.
Yes.
Where you lived for.
Oh, okay. We're keeping going. Okay. Yeah. Then, I guess settling, I think, I don't know. Court, I don't know how court played out. I guess it settled or something. They settled out of court and moved on, I think. They got back together. I would say that they probably shouldn't have, but that's not the timeline we're in. And which, you know, time travel is tricky. You know, they didn't get back together. Maybe JFK would still be with us or something. I don't know.
Literally how?
It was a dumb joke. Okay. What is it? So then they got back together. We stayed in, I remember staying in an apartment. I guess, staying in an apartment. And then that was like when I guess they had my brother, and I wonder, they must have had my sister as well when we were in that apartment, but we stayed there a couple of years. I would say at least 6 or so years in that apartment complex. This is where it gets blurry. This is more like, well, obviously I don't remember the Honduras stuff, but I think like I remember the apartment complex, but there might be like a place before that I don't remember. And so maybe another one. But the apartment complex is what I do remember, because I remember like, I vaguely remember the layout. I remember it was like 3rd or 4th floor of like an apartment building. We had neighbors that were very nice, because it was like my parents had 2 boys and then they had like 2 girls that were like roughly the same age, and so we hung out and played together a lot. And, you know, I guess the other would occasionally babysit and whatnot. What else? I also had a neighbor that I think we met in like elementary school or something, and I'm confusing him with someone else. Okay. I think I had a neighbor downstairs that like I wanted to get along with. Like we had the same interests of like Star Wars or whatever, but like one time I went to like hang out at his family's apartment, which was like on the 1st floor when we were a couple floors up. And the apartment smelled like pee. And I was just like, I don't like this. And so I think I hung out there once and never again.
Was it like human pee or like cat pee?
I feel like human. I feel like human.
I was going to say if it was cat pee, then they might have been making meth. No. Apparently that's what it smells like.
Making meth. No, I think it was like human pee. I think like the kid that I maybe wanted to be friends with. I think he might have been like a bedwetter at that age, and so I don't know. I guess it just permeated the apartment, and I didn't find it pleasant.
Maybe his parents were into water sports and they didn't know how to clean up.
Oh yeah. And they just let other kids come over. They're just like, oh yeah, like yeah, the couch is a little wet, but we'll just put down a towel. Like anyway, so that was that apartment complex. I feel like what else? Okay, I remember the layout. I remember hanging out with the girls. I guess their names were Victoria and Sarah. No idea where they are now.
Do you remember their last name?
No.
No.
My mom might. They also, their parents had like a rocky relationship. I like, I feel like my parents told me like the drama about their, like the neighbors' relationship, where it's apparently like they would fight a lot and then they would make up with, I don't know, making out or sex. But I don't feel like my parents at that age would tell me like, oh, they fight and then they have sex. I don't think I knew what it was at the time. So maybe it's like they would fight and then they would kiss a lot. Maybe that's what they told me. And like,
it's weird that they would tell you that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they were just like a little judgmental, and I mean they also don't have they also do not have a healthy relationship, or at that time or ever. But maybe they were like trying to make themselves like feel better, by being like, oh, they have a bad relationship. Honestly, I have no idea if they did or didn't. I think they did fight a little bit, even when I was like over at their apartment. So many memories. First time. This is somewhat unrelated. Well, it's related. This was back when I was an age where like my parents, what is it? They didn't let me watch Harry Potter when that was like popping off. And I guess I don't know what year this must have been, but I think I was in that apartment from let's say either kindergarten or preschool to like fourth grade, third or fourth grade. So I don't know what age that is really, but that gives vaguely a time period. Anyway, they wouldn't let me watch Harry Potter, but my neighbors, not being Christian, they were like, yo, Harry Potter's fine, which it is. But my parents were, I guess, feeling the satanic panic, as I've heard it called in the I don't know, cultural history. Anyway, so I think one time my parents were going on a date and the neighbors were going to babysit us, and they were watching like Harry Potter all the time. And my parents had this like weird thing that like, from what I remember of like elementary school, somewhat to like middle school a little bit, was like things that weren't allowed in their house, I could do at like other people's houses. It kind of confused me. So it's like a video game. They were like, and maybe that was just a my mom thing, or maybe it was my parents as a whole, but like it's like, oh, you can't play this game in our house. We're not going to buy it for you. We're not going to let you buy it. You can't like play Grand Theft Auto or whatever. And even then, that's just an example, because I think I was even too young to like know what it was at the time. But if you go to like a friend's house, then it's like you can sort of do whatever you want. Like they wouldn't let me watch. Did you ever see the live action Scooby-Doo movies?
Yes.
Yeah, they
wouldn't let you watch those.
They used to be a lot stricter, I guess, in my middle school through high school years. That's when they kind of like leaned off a little bit. But like, I don't know, they were, in my younger years, they were very strict, I guess Christians will say, where like no Harry Potter, no live action Scooby-Doo, no Pokemon. All of them were of the devil.
That's so wild, because I've never heard of anyone like banning specifically live action Scooby-Doo. Like Pokemon I've heard of, Harry Potter, everyone knows about that, but that's so, I don't know.
No, well, for Scooby-Doo, it was the
was it the talking dog?
No.
Oh.
They said Scrappy, like, no, that's not of the Lord. No, it was the we'll say spiritual aspects of that movie where it's like spoilers for 2003
Two.
or 5. 2002?
Maybe.
Wow. Okay, so spoilers for...
Now I gotta look it up. Spoilers for a movie that came out over 10 years ago.
20 years ago, nearly, if it's 2002. Yeah, feel old.
All right, let's see.
Just moving your thumbs, you're gonna have to like...
Yeah, it was 2002.
Nice.
Right.
High five. Don't fake me out! All right, I'm turning off the recording. The cut's deep, Arin.
You should have known I was gonna do that.
Yeah, I know, but I should have forced it. I should have
hit me in the face.
Yeah.
Should have Will Smith me.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I should have hit your hand. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, that was me. Those noises were me frantically trying to hit any portion of her hand.
So yeah, anyway. Scooby-Doo was banned.
Yeah, well, it was because of
watch it elsewhere.
It was because of like the spiritual aspects. We'll say of like spoilers for Scooby-Doo. There was like they had the island, and then they had these like weird dog demons that were like stealing people's souls. You remember this?
I don't remember the dog demons.
Well, they were like demons, and I'm only thinking in hindsight they kind of looked like dogs.
Because Freddy. Fred.
Yeah, Freddy looked at himself, looked at Daphne naked, but as Daphne. So it makes it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fred goes into Daphne's body, spiritually, not sexually.
That we know of. And looks at himself.
Yeah, he looks down and he's like, hey.
And they swap voices too. Yeah, I remember.
And he's like, I can look at myself naked. Did you know James Gunn wrote those movies? For real? Yeah.
I did not know
that. And then apparently originally at like in the pitches for those movies, they're supposed to be R-rated. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they were supposed to be like much more like inappropriate and like dark. Interesting. So that's why if you go back and watch them, they have a little bit of an edge to them. Still PG or whatever, but like have a slight edge.
Well, we are due for an R-rated children's Scooby-Doo adaptation. So,
is there any examples of that? I don't know.
I don't know either.
R-rated children's adaptations. I feel like the first things that come to mind is like Happy Tree Friends.
Well, that was always R-rated.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like there's never going to be like a real R-rated children's adaptation.
Like a gritty reboot is what I mean. There's been plenty of those, I think.
I just feel like there's been plenty of like parodies, you know what I mean? Like you have like that Dwayne Johnson SNL skit where he's like Bambi. Did you ever see that? No. It was like, it's like Disney's doing all these live action remakes and they're like, SNL was like, all right, get ready for Disney's next one, Bambi. And then it's like Dwayne Johnson, like just as Dwayne Johnson, but like with like Bambi makeup. And he's like, yo, those motherfuckers killed my mom. I'm gonna kill them. And he like has a machine gun or something. Like it's a good sketch. Same with like College Humor's Dora, where she's like Indiana Jones or more, I guess, Lara Croft. What else? Anyway, this is
Virginia.
This is a little tangent-y.
So you said you're there for what, like 6 years?
I would say roughly, yeah.
And then eventually you left.
Well, I was gonna say that they basically like my neighbors, the girls, Victoria and Sarah, their family watched Harry Potter and then they were babysitting me one night. And so going back to the rule, it's like I then asked my parents, I was like, does this mean I get to watch Harry Potter? and they're like, fine. And then I got to watch Harry Potter for like the first time at their house. It must have been like the second or first one. Like they had just been like new. And I think after that, then maybe finally like the dam broke or something. And I was finally allowed to like watch all of them. Though that must have been in middle school, I think. I don't know when I watched all of them. Yeah, because like the series ended, I think, in like 2010, 2011. And then, I mean, we're fast forwarding a little bit, but moved to Mississippi in 2013. So it's like, it must have come out in middle school, I think. I don't know. But Yeah, I was allowed to watch all of them finally. I think shortly after that, but that was a big deal to me, getting to watch Harry Potter for the first time at my neighbor's house. Yeah. So I'm still going. I'm going through my whole timeline.
So eventually you left Virginia. And...
Well, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
We moved from a what is it?
From
I feel
apartment.
So yeah, we moved from an apartment to a house, but I feel like my throat's getting a little tired and I kind of want to alternate.
Okay.
So tell me about your moving experiences.
Well, I have lived in the same city, sort of, for more or less my entire life up until like my adult life. What?
An unknown city that I did not name drop earlier. It is
Exactly.
We don't know what it is.
Yeah. So the first house that I lived in from birth up until I want to say the 3rd grade. I remember a lot about that house. I don't really have any like big memories of it, you know.
You were born in the house?
I wasn't born in the house. I was born in the hospital.
Said from birth.
What? Anyway, I remember in our backyard we had this like big, huge oak tree, and me and my brother really wanted like a tree house. And I think one plank of wood got nailed into it, and then whomever was working on it just like gave up. I'm just like, no, we're not doing this.
You don't want to name drop who? I feel like
I don't know who it was.
I feel like it was your dad. The tree houses are
It
dad
definitely
thing.
wasn't my mom. So yeah, you're probably right.
It's like, no, it was your dog.
No, he wasn't in that house. But let me see. So yeah, I don't know if that tree is still there, but if it is, there's probably just a singular plank of wood still in it. Yeah, I have a lot of really good memories in that house. You know, it's not where my formative years happened, but you know, it was the beginning, so to speak. I remember my bedroom used to be my brother's bedroom, because my brother's bedroom used to be my dad's office, even though what would actually become his office used to be my brother's playroom, which is wild because that room was huge. So I don't know, maybe my parents just had it like that till I came around and ruined everything. But yeah, the walls were painted. It wasn't like a solid color; they were white, but they had like paint splotches on them that were like purple and green, and I think just those 2 colors. It sounds weird, but it's very nostalgic for me. And while living in that house, I actually had my own TV. It was my dad's old TV from college. I have no idea where that thing is. It might be in our attic if we even still have it. But yeah, I had my own TV, and that was the only time I had my own TV, because once we moved in subsequent houses, I never got a TV in my room, which, you know, it ended up being okay. It's not, you know, TV is not something that I find essential these days, which is why I still don't have a TV in my apartment, because like I just kind of I don't need one, I guess. So anyhow, when I was in the 3rd grade, my parents, I guess, decided to move to another house. So we actually moved technically out of town. I mean, it was still in the same area, but it was a different city, and it was kind of in the country. So like I don't know if you're familiar with this like terminology, but like if you go out in the country, it's just like in the county, but like it's kind of more secluded. Except we were living on a street that was like a loop, so it was kind of a more smaller community, I guess. And I remember moving into that house, you know, I thought, oh man, we finally made it. Because when I was younger, I had this really weird conception that poor people lived in apartments and middle-class people lived in single-story homes, and rich people lived in houses that had 2 or more floors, because one of the only people that I knew at the time, that my family knew at the time, that lived in a multi-story house, they were kind of well off. So that's where I got that from. And because most of the apartments and like apartment complexes in my town are owned by like the housing authority, which does all of the like low income housing. So that's why I thought that. Obviously that's not true.
It's not?
No.
There's poor people living in houses with multiple stories?
Well, yeah, if you get like you know, there's some townhomes they're kind of small, but technically they're more than 1 story. You don't have to be like rich. You don't have to make over $100,000 a year to, well, I don't know about now, but you know, there are poorer families who live in multi-story homes. It's not, yeah. Seems like you had this conception as well.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I've thought about it a lot, but
Well,
I
I guess
guess.
poor people in general can't really like buy a house. But let's say if they have like I don't want to call it ancestral because that sounds like a lot of generations, but like a house that, many generations of a family has lived in, it might be a multi-story house. Obviously, probably not in the South because we have all this open land, so we just build regular houses. But probably like in denser cities, you'll have multi-story homes that are smaller that low-income people live in. So, yeah. But our house, it had 2 floors, sort of. It was kind of weird because it was also kind of built into the side of a hill. So that meant that like the office that was downstairs was also partially underground. It was strange. And we also had a pool, which was so cool because, again, my weirdo brain thought only rich people had pools. But we did have one. It was great. We didn't use it all that much because my parents left it up to my brother to maintain the pool.
Wait, what kind of pool?
It was an in-ground pool.
I feel like only rich people have those kind of pools, or at the very least, middle class. I feel like most poor people don't have in-ground personal pools.
Okay, well maybe you're right, but
Boom. All right. No, wait. When did? So I didn't like fully zone out, but it seemed like we didn't spend a lot of time at your first residence.
Well, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot to say about it.
No, that's fine. It's just we moved and I didn't know it. Like you started talking about a new place and I was like, oh shoot, frick, what?
No, I moved when I was in the 3rd grade, so roughly 7, 8 years old.
And it was similar to my journey of like apartment to house. No, house to bigger house.
Yeah, bigger house. But the thing about that was that my bedroom was like smaller, so it was kind of, I don't know, it was just smaller. But I mean, I didn't really mind. It was nice. I had a nice big mirror on one side of the wall, which would honestly kind of freak me out now because I cannot go to bed like looking at a mirror. I can't do that, but I somehow managed it back then. But it was this big, nice mirror on one side of the wall, and really the only thing that could fit in my room was my bed, which is a full-size bed, which is not that big, and like my dresser, and that was kind of it. And then all of my toys and stuff went in our new playroom, and all of my toys and all of my brother's like video games and stuff. We had a Wii. We got that. I want to say that was the Christmas. Like the only Christmas that we like lived in that house because we didn't live there for very long. We only lived there for about a year. I do remember it did snow one time during that one year that we lived there. And we played, we had a snowball fight with one of our neighbors. His name was Hunter, which I had found to be an odd name even at that age, but whatever. And also I should say that house is probably the smallest house in that loop because all those houses were like huge. Because what I'd often do when I lived there was go on my bike or go on my scooter and like just ride around the loop because there's like a hill and you can go fast down the hill. Somehow I never fell, but go up and down the hill just, riding around, and I would always look at the houses and they were always so nice and pretty to me. Maybe that's where I got my love of houses from. I don't know. Because those houses were really nice.
I want to say that I've only gone fast down a hill once and I fractured my ankle.
Yeah, no, I can't. I guess I'm better than you. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, that was nice too because there were people in that neighborhood that were like my age and also my brother's age. Oh goodness! So there's this kid named Wyatt who like lived up the hill. He didn't live on the street. He lived like just like off to the side. Again, this is a country. People just build houses in places. And I thought it was really nice because he had rock band and he had like a koi pond and his parents were nice. And I was talking to his dad once and he said that he went to the same elementary school as me. And, I thought they were like normal people. But then one day we go into Wyatt's room for the first time and he has a gigantic Confederate flag just on the wall. And I'm like, I know it's bad. Like, I feel a feeling in the pit of my stomach, like, ugh, danger. Like, my ancestral fight or flight responses kicked in at that moment. And I didn't even know it was a Confederate flag. I was like, hey, why do you have a British flag in your room? And he was like, no, that's a Confederate flag. And I was like, oh. So
did you know what that was? Like you said, oh, but did you know what it was?
I kind of knew. Because, again, my, like, fight or flight literally activated when I saw it. I was like,
maybe you're just scared of flags.
No, I was not scared of flags. Like, I knew somehow that it was bad, but I didn't kind of know how or why until he like said it was a Confederate flag. I knew Confederate was like bad. Yeah. But they were still nice. You know, his parents weren't weird. He wasn't weird. His older brother wasn't weird. So I don't know. It's just he just had a Confederate flag in his room, and you know, it didn't matter. We still played Rock Band. So yeah, that was definitely odd. But like I said, we didn't really live in that neighborhood for very long.
I wish there was more to this story. I want to know about this Confederate flag guy.
I mean, there's really not a whole lot to it. I think he was closer in age to my brother. So my brother is like 4 years older than me, so he was closer in age to him. But I do remember one day, I guess.
Did anyone else in your family, or keep that thought? Did anyone else in your family know about the Confederate flag?
I think my brother specifically told me not to tell our dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, because probably if my dad knew, he would not let us go back up there.
Yeah.
So, even though they were very nice to us. I mean, I guess I was just a kid at the time, but even as a kid, you know, you can tell when things are off, and I didn't really know that things were off. So
I don't know if kids can tell. Well, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So I think one day we were over at his house, and I guess his parents had just said like, "Don't have anybody over," and we were over, and his parents came home, and we had to like run out of the house and like hide. So that was interesting.
That was one of their racist days or something. They were like, hey.
Well, no, because you know when you have a kid home alone, there's like nobody in, nobody out. That's what my parents always said.
Yeah.
So it's probably just like that.
It was a joke.
I know. But what I really liked about living there is that, you know, like I said, it was kind of in the country, surrounded by like woods and stuff. And what we would often do is just like go out and explore in the woods. And I love that so much because when I was in elementary school, I want to say like November, if you're in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade, you could go to this camp in North Alabama called Camp McDowell. And what we did there was, you know, a lot of outdoorsy stuff like hiking. And I love doing that. So I guess that just kind of reminded me of that because, you know, there are like creeks and, you know, trees and hills. And it was just really nice. But like I said, we only lived there for a short amount of time. And I want to say up until my freshman year, before my freshman year of college, I never knew why. So originally what my parents had told us was that we had mold growing in our basement/laundry room, which is why we had to move. And they said to us that it would be cheaper to leave than to fix the mold, which is a lie, by the way. I guess they didn't count on me thinking about it. I mean, I was a kid. I didn't know how much it would cost to, like, fix mold. It doesn't cost that much to fix mold, and it certainly doesn't cost more than, like, buying a whole new house and then, like, selling that house. Because, I mean, even in 2009, which is when we left, there was sort of a housing crisis, but the housing market was kind of wild during that time because, you know, 2008 was the recession, and then 2009, everything was still kind of trying to recover from that. So they didn't end up buying another house, but we moved into a rent house. But the way that it happened was honestly so weird, and it's honestly still bothered me to this day. So I knew we were moving out, but it was kind of more of like I thought it was going to be a gradual thing, like how it was last time, where, you know, gradually we just pack up our stuff and then we move to the new house and gradually unpack it because we had a lot of stuff. But what they ended up doing is that one Friday, and I remember it was a Friday because I was keeping a journal at this time, and I believe I was in the 4th grade, and I was really excited to get home that Friday because then I couldn't play video games during the week because, you know, sometimes my grades were bad. But I was really excited to get home and play My Sims Kingdom for the Wii. I remember this very vividly. But instead of going home, the person who took me home from school took me to, like, a family friend's house. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And she was like, I don't know. And so I just went, and my brother was also there, and that was a little confusing. So I just figured, you know, my parents were probably busy. By 6 o'clock, they'll probably just come and get me. And then 6 o'clock came, and they did not come. And then 7 o'clock came, and then 8 o'clock came, which is really late because that's about the time that I would be in bed. And they were not there. And so at this point, I was starting to panic because, like, what is going on? Why am I not home? Where are my parents? And so I start calling them. And this was back when, you had to memorize people's numbers. And I had memorized my mom and dad's number as well as my home phone number. I still know it. It hasn't changed. And I was calling them and they weren't picking up. And I was like, then I was really starting to freak out. Like, what is going home? It's like past 8 o'clock now. I haven't heard anything from anybody. Where is everyone? Why am I here? Where are my parents? Are they dead? Did they give me up? Did they just flee the country? I didn't know what was going on. So eventually what happened that night is I just kind of cried myself to sleep in my school clothes in the guest room of this lady's house on top of the covers. Didn't even get under them. And eventually the next morning I wake up, I'm still there, still kind of freaked out. I think I call my dad. And he finally picks up, and I'm so relieved because I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Where are you guys? Why am I here? And they're like, yeah, we had to move everything out, immediately. And honestly, to this day, I probably still don't have the full story as to why. But what my dad told me when I went to visit him in California the summer before my freshman year of college is that he was trying to get some documents from whoever sold us the house to do something. I can't remember. This is more than 4 years ago at this point. So, and whoever I guess was handling it gave my dad the documents, but he noticed that a page was missing. He was like, hey, where's this missing page in the documents? And the person was kind of reluctant to say, but eventually my dad found out that originally the house had a covenant on it. And basically, if you don't know what that is, a housing covenant, these don't exist anymore because they're super duper illegal. But basically, it said that no Black people are able to purchase this home. And covenants in certain places, they went to other races too, But usually it's just Black and Jewish people cannot buy this home, which is, a very old discriminatory practice in housing, which contributed in the segregation of neighborhoods. And I should mention that we were the only Black people living in that loop. So the rest of them, they were white. Which honestly,
Jewish people aren't white.
Well, the thing about race and ethnicity is it's kind of complicated. Of course, us in America, we think if you're pale, you're white. You're pale, so you're white.
But I'm not.
Exactly, which is interesting. But the way they discriminate people, in Europe, where it's literally just white people, is they go off of ethnicity, religion, and culture instead of just skin color, because they're all kind of the same skin color. So it's more nuanced than that, but that's kind of how Jewish people were, made to, I don't know.
But I thought
it's kind of how anti-Semitism became a really big thing. And then, but there's a lot of anti-Jewish sentiment in the United States still, but a lot also in the past, but in certain neighborhoods. But I think it was more common to discriminate against Black people because they were so visually different. And also because of slavery and all that. It's a very complex issue. I can't really explain it very well in a few minutes. But
I just didn't know. I don't know. I didn't know. You told me about these covenant things before when it comes to buying a house. Yeah. You told me
Did I tell you this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
But I don't think that last time you told me, you mentioned you were oh, they're used to discriminate and segregate Black people, but I don't think you mentioned Jewish people. So that was new information to me.
Yeah, I don't know if the segregation of Jewish people was as common in the United States as it was Blacks and Latinos and indigenous people, but it existed.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I believe you. I think it's somewhat surprising to me. I don't know. I guess. Yeah.
So once my dad found out there was a covenant on the house, he was like, okay, my family cannot live in this place anymore. Something weird's going on, and we're probably not going to be safe. So
really?
Yeah.
What do you think about that decision of his?
Well, according to my dad, and I've asked my mom this, and she says she doesn't remember this, but my mom kind of lies to me sometimes, and I hope she's not listening. But yeah, apparently one day while nobody else was home and it was just my mom there, some white guy in a pickup truck like rolled up to our house, knocked on the door and was like, so when are y'all leaving? I think that's what he said. And my mom was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, when are you leaving? So he told me that happened.
Your dad
also
did?
Yeah, also when he was telling me about why we left the house, but I still don't know why we had to like leave under the cover of night like that. And that kind of led me to think that maybe the house was foreclosed on because this was 2009, the housing crisis. A lot of houses were getting foreclosed on, and I thought, okay, and they bought the house in 2008. So I thought, okay, maybe my parents were like the, I don't know, victims of a subprime mortgage or something. But I asked my dad that. He said no, but literally having to pack up everything overnight and move it into like a rental house and into like a storage unit and not tell us anything for whatever reason. I still don't understand that. And that honestly, I don't know, it gets to me sometimes when I think about it too hard. Well, so I don't think about it too hard.
So your dad said that happened. This is a pretty interesting story. Your dad said that happened. Your mom said she doesn't remember, but you think she's maybe lying. Why would she lie?
Potentially. I don't know. My mom doesn't always like to tell me things all of the time. Like, I remember a family member of ours died, and they were ill for a while. And, previous to that, they'd had a whole, like, basically a going-away party. Because, she was sick of going to funerals and stuff, which honestly, based. But I don't like funerals. I didn't go to this one, though, because I still would have been sad. But anyways, the only way I knew that she had died is because I overheard my mom on the phone telling somebody else. I was like, oh,
well, I'm just wondering.
Basically, my mom has a history of not exactly being truthful with me.
No, I think I was just wondering. So it's like that's your reasoning. I was wondering if there's a reasoning other than that for like this specific instance of like, I don't know, what's the benefit of her not saying that this guy knocked on your door and asked when you're leaving?
Ouch. Well, sometimes I think that my mom thinks that I'm like emotionally fragile or something, and that one piece of news, like one piece of bad news, is gonna like send me over the edge or something, which is not the case. It's
not.
No, it isn't. I mean, when I was in college, yeah, I had some. I'm not gonna call them breakdowns because they weren't breakdowns. I'll call them meltdowns, where I was like, calling my mom in tears for one reason or another. So that might be what led her to believe that. But I mean,
this was before that.
I mean, yeah, was that before that? No, I think I asked her. It had to be while I was in college. When I actually asked her if she remembered that, and she said she didn't. So,
yeah,
who knows?
I mean, that's pretty scary if it did happen. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, if your dad, let's say, is a reasonable person, then like,
when I did ask him, were you just like telling another story, and did the house get foreclosed on? Because I tried to find records for it, because you can find records on foreclosed houses, but again, this is in 2009, so it would have been a long time ago, and I would have had to go through the whole rigmarole of like contacting a county clerk, which I wasn't about to do. So I saw on some home buying and selling website that the house was sold, so it wasn't foreclosed. But I still asked my dad this, and he was like, no, like I already told you what happened.
I mean, yeah, well, as I was saying, if he's like a reasonable person and that like that did happen and he felt like, yo, I need to get the frick out of here as fast as I can and like have it be this like covert mission, like that's pretty serious and pretty scary. Now I guess bringing my own like perspective and baggage is like, if your dad is anything like mine, then it's like maybe he's just crazy. Well, I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just saying, like,
I know, but
if I had a story like that and I was like, my dad did that, then I'd be like, oh yeah, he was full of shit. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have a good reason. I don't know your dad.
Yeah.
And
I'll say my dad is rational most of the time.
I mean, yeah, that's a. I think you told me this story about the covenant. I don't think you told me about like your dad basically saying someone threatened you guys. Like that's a I don't know, that brought it up a notch.
Yeah.
Jeez. How big was this like neighborhood? Because you said you guys were like the only black people in the loop. What's a loop? How big?
Well, I mean, it was off like some highway, right? And you go in, there's like a road, and there's our house, and then there's like a loop, and there's houses outside of the loop and houses inside of the loop. And not all of them had people in them. So I want to say there might have been 10 or less families there, because I can remember kind of all the people who lived there, because there were these two boys who kind of sucked and I didn't like them, and then there was Hunter who lived up the hill, and then there was the science teacher at my middle school who also lived in that neighborhood, so I guess along with her husband. Wyatt doesn't count because he lived up the hill, not on that street. There was a lady who like brought us a pie when we moved in. Mm-hmm. I think apparently she knew my dad because my dad was a journalist, and being a journalist, you meet a lot of people around town. It was kind of like that. I think we still have her dish, honestly, because she gave us this pie dish and it had like little, how pies look where they're like wavy. Well, the dish was shaped like that too, and we do have it. I think that's her dish, but that one's probably dead, by the way. She's
the woman.
Old. Yes. I'd be surprised if she was still alive.
You gotta go deliver it to her grave. Like, hey,
I don't even know her name. So
this is your quest now, Arin. That woman's spirit needs to be laid to rest. She's missing her pie dish. She has all her valuables, but not that one.
Anyway,
bring it back in good faith. Bake a pie in it. Leave it at her grave.
Oh, the pie wasn't good either. I think it was like a meringue pie.
Make a better pie. Be like, here you go. Appreciate the pie. It wasn't very good. Try this one out.
Anyway, there weren't a whole lot of people living there.
Uh-huh. How long did you live there?
Actually, I found this out on the website, and I remember distinctly because when we moved in, it was not long after my birthday, and I was like, oh, I got a house for my birthday. What did you get? I was that kind of kid. But anyways, and we moved out in... It said the house was sold in November, but I want to say we moved out probably in November. If I can find... Actually, I can find it because it's still in my bedroom at home. But if I look in that diary and I find that entry, then it'll probably be in November. So
how many months? Like how?
So September 2008 to November 2009.
So a month?
No, a year.
Oh.
And 2 months.
Really?
Yes.
Well, the story... sounded like, I guess, in my head, not doing a good job keeping track of all the details. The story in my head, it seemed like you guys moved in there, and then you were trying to get these documents or whatever. You didn't get the document, and then you got threatened, and so it's like it seemed like things moved pretty fast. But you were fine in this potentially racist neighborhood for a while.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I didn't really have any issues with our neighbors. I mean, it was fine, we went over to these white people's houses and we were not bothered.
Well, it's not like they're
kids.
It's not like, I don't know. It's not like all of the people there that were racist. It's just like you were like, yo, we were the only black people, and your dad was like, yeah, there's some dude threatened us. Like, when you leaving? You know what I mean? That I don't know. If that did... Well, okay.
I should point out, I don't know who this guy was. All I know, white dude, pickup truck. I don't know if he lived in the neighborhood. I don't know if he was a relative of somebody. I don't know. So...
It sounded like... Let's say if he did live in the neighborhood, it's kind of odd for, like... It's kind of odd for someone to, like... If they're racist and they're like... I don't like the person that's been living here for a while. It's kind of odd to wait like a year and a month to be like, hey, get the frick out of here. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like...
Joseph, racism doesn't make the most sense. So I don't really know all the details of it.
It makes me a little bit more skeptical of your dad's story, but I still think... I'm just saying.
Okay.
It's... Yeah, I don't know. Like... I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just giving my take on it. We don't have all the pieces. I'm trying to. I'm trying to Sherlock Holmes it.
I'm willing to believe my dad.
No, and I think for the most part I do. I just said it made me a little bit more skeptical. Just because, I don't know, in my head, it seems...
Racist people are weird, Joseph. I don't know.
In my head, it just sounded like things happened really fast. Like maybe like moved in there, you couldn't get the documents, got threatened, and it's like you were gone within like a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it did not happen that fast. I don't know when the document searching happened or when the threatening happened. I just know that one of those events happened and then the other event happened, and that served as like the breaking point for my dad to decide that, hey, we gotta go.
There's two bad things like back to back, two like red flags.
I should ask him about that actually. Because I kind of need closure on this. Because me sitting up in this person's house in their guest room, crying my eyes out, wondering where my parents were, that can't not have had some kind of effect on me. So, you know, I just wish they would have told us. And it's not like I would have forgotten either. Because, like, I don't think I would have had that strong of a reaction if my parents had told us, hey, you got to spend the night at so-and-so's house so that we can move. And then I just forgot, like, I wouldn't be, you know, literally freaking out. So I wasn't told at all. I tried to ask my brother. I don't think he knew either, even though he was, like, the older brother and therefore, and therefore allegedly supposed to be looking out for me, even though he rarely did. So it's just a lot of questions that I have about that. Yeah. But moving on.
Did you ever have babysitters at someone else's house?
Yeah, I would often go over to other people's house, but they're usually just like family friends, not people that my parents had like hired. So my parents had, despite neither of them being from my hometown, they had a pretty strong support system there in that, you know, there were always people who could like watch us when I was a kid. And then sometimes, some summers I would get sent down to my grandparents who live in Mobile just to stay there for like some weeks because my parents had to work. Or they would come up.
I was thinking more like an everyday thing of like your parents are working and then it's like after school you go to like some woman's house or daycare or something.
So let's see. In elementary school, there was a friend of my mom's. Her daughter would take me home. And I think by this time, when I was like this age, I suppose we were like technically latchkey kids because we had like keys to the house. Do I still? No, I don't. I don't still have my key to that house, but I do have the keychain that came with it because it was black and it had like pink hearts on it, and the keychain was like a little pink heart, or a black heart or something like that. So yeah, by that time we had like keys to the house. We could let ourselves in, and then of course on one day of the week I had ballet, and that would last until like 7, at which point my mom would pick me up. But I don't think that was like a common occurrence. Because yeah, after we moved out of that house and moved into our rent house, I would always just come straight home. And a lot of the times I would be like alone. So yeah, not really all that to say. But sometimes, you know, there were some occasions during that time of me thinking I was abandoned that I would go to like a family friend's house to stay there for however long until my parents came to pick me up, but not really. And also say at this time, when we lived at that house, well, first of all, my best memory from there is taking my little puppy dog home for the first time. I remember he was just so little. He could fit in my lap, and I was not as bodacious then as I was now because I was a literal child, and he fit like right in my lap. He was so small, and I remember kind of panicking because we got him like kind of during the summer, and we went into Walmart to like buy a bed and bowls and like food and stuff for him, but the cash register wouldn't work, so we had to wait for someone to like come and fix the cash register. All the while, my little puppy Rio, he's out in the car, hopefully not getting too hot. Obviously he didn't because he is still with us to this day. And yeah, that was a fond memory of mine. But for some reason, when my dog was like a puppy, he did not like me. He would always bite my ankles and like scratch me on the wrists. And I remember, not wrists, but like just arms when you like jump up on me. Because, you know, little puppies, they got sharp claws. And I remember at one point, my mom was looking at my arms being concerned, like, we can't send you to school like this. They're going to think you're getting abused. Because I had all these scratches on my arms. But eventually he got over all of that and he turned nice.
Do only puppies have sharp claws?
Well, I mean, I suppose kittens do too, but cats
I
in
meant
general.
like as dogs age, do their claws get less sharp?
Well, yeah, because, when they walk around, their claws naturally, like, file down on the ground. So they might be long, but they're not, like, sharp. Like, not sharp enough to rip holes in my shirt or
So what makes
scratch me up.
What makes a puppy's claws sharp?
I don't know, I guess because they're just young. Yeah. Because their little teethies are sharp, too.
Interesting.
So, yeah, that is definitely my fondest memory from that house is bringing Rio home for the first time and having the snow. Actually, we have a picture of me in elementary school, my brother in middle school, and Rio is just like a little puppy. And my mom put that in like a Christmas ornament. So it's like, I think, I have no idea where it came from, but it's my favorite Christmas ornament, and I demand it be put on the tree every year. So, yeah. And I think my mom took it with like an early like cell phone camera. So I don't even know where like the original picture is. I hope it's somewhere because, you don't get that time back. But eventually, we moved into the rent house. I think it was like the next day, my parents took us some like clean clothes. Because when I say we went over there out of nowhere, I had no pajamas to change into. I didn't have any other clothes. I had to sleep in my uniform shirt and jeans because it was Friday and we could wear jeans on Friday if we paid $1. And like...
Did you go to private school?
No, I went to a public school.
Really? And then you had to pay for jeans?
On Fridays, yes.
Weird.
It was only $1.
Well, I think my middle school did that as well, but it was a private school. Wait. Yeah. I think both my middle school and my high school. No, I think middle school you had to pay for it to wear like jeans on Friday. High school, I think you could just wear jeans on Friday. You didn't have to pay for it. Both were private schools. I assumed that was a private school thing. Did you have a uniform for your public school?
Yeah, elementary, it was red and white. Those were our school colors.
I always thought uniforms were like a public school thing or a private school thing.
I don't know. I mean, I always had to wear a uniform. And honestly, going to college and not like having to wear a uniform was kind of weird because when I was in high school, I kind of didn't go anywhere. So I didn't really have like clothes outside of my uniform because anytime we bought clothes, it was going to be for school. So, it's an interesting adjustment going to college and like not exactly having a sense of style, to be honest. But I mean, when you're in school, you have some leeway to like jazz it up a little bit. So I did do that, but it's just like,
we didn't have that leeway.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Well, I mean, I couldn't wear like, a halter top to school. We still had a dress code, but all we had to do was wear a yellow shirt, so that could either be a polo or a button down or even a sweater. So as long as I had a collar, even though I often broke dress code rules because I thought they were lame, but it's whatever. Anywho, we moved into the rent house. I want to say the day after we drive there. I have no idea, my hometown isn't that big, so I do know where we are, but here I am all of a sudden in this new house, and it's like nothing is explained to me, like why all that just happened. I don't really ask any questions, but now everything's in my room, and I just gotta unpack again and moved into the rent house. Things were rocky, but I was also strangely happy at the same time. Because the house, even though it was significantly smaller than the one that we had just left, it felt really, like, homey to me. And I remember at this point, that was kind of formative for me because I was still in elementary school, but I think I was also entering middle school at this point, which is a weird time for anyone, but I remember being really into music at this point. I really got into, like, internet stuff, so... I guess my introduction to, like, internet culture was through Flipnote Hatena, which I started using while I was living in that house. And, things, despite it all, things were good. I had my escapes that I can go to. I had my dog, and I had my bed, and things were fine for a while. I think at that point, yes, because we had moved there in November, and by the time Christmas had come, at least I think we did, but by the time Christmas had come, we didn't have internet yet, but my parents still wanted to give us, me and my brother, like a Christmas gift. So they gave us both like these little crappy laptops that probably cost $100 each. And I was super excited about it because I did not have my own laptop, and I was like, oh, this is great. But of course, my brother complained about it.
Getting a laptop?
Well, getting a laptop, but not having internet yet. But we got internet like a couple of days later, so it wasn't even that big of a deal. So yeah, that was great. I got into RuneScape once we eventually did get internet, because there was something that came on the computer that like gave you like a list of like games or whatever, and some of them were like online games, and the online games that were listed were RuneScape and Habbo Hotel. So yeah, that was fun. That kind of segues into at least one video that I have on my channel about stuff. I still have that laptop, by the way. It doesn't work because I took it apart, couldn't put it back together. So I do still have it. I don't know why I still have it at this point.
You ever taken apart and put back together anything else?
No. Well, okay, what I only took off the back panel.
So you didn't take it apart?
Not really, but I did take some like parts out, and I couldn't find some screws. I'm like, ooh.
I don't have it anymore, but I have, I guess I used a walkthrough, but I still want to say it's cool, but I have I think fully taken apart and put back together my PS4 once or twice. Yeah.
Well, that's probably way more impressive than what I did. But I think the battery just eventually stopped working, which is why. No, it does still work. When I turn it on, it like gives me a weird boot menu. That doesn't matter. Yeah, I do. Despite it all, I have a lot of happy memories in that house. I can't really pinpoint how long we lived there, because the process of us moving from that house to our next house and the house that we still currently live in was kind of odd and kind of like gradual, because we ended up moving across the street, like literally. If we did move out in 2009, then I would have been in the 5th grade, but I think eventually we moved into our current house when I was in the 6th grade. Yeah, I want to say. But the house was a bit of a fixer-upper, the one that we currently live in, and it took a lot of stuff to actually get it to like be lived in. They had to like redo the floors and like paint and probably put a new roof on it, I think. And of course, all of that took some time, but eventually, we just started moving stuff literally across the street, and that's where we live now. However, before I moved there, I do remember witnessing a burglary in the rent house. So my brother was out walking our dog, and he saw this guy kind of being weird across the street, because we lived across the street from a church. And then eventually, tells my dad about it. But eventually we see him like using a crowbar to break the windows of the church, and he starts like stealing audio equipment out of there, and it's like, what? This is insane. I'm witnessing a crime live. This is wild.
He didn't like notice you noticing him?
We think he was a crackhead, so I don't know.
So he's just kind of too out of it to like, I don't know.
Yeah. So saw him get arrested too. That was interesting. It was very, very interesting saga. But yeah, eventually we moved into the house that we live in now. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. So, full range of emotions were had in that house. Fell in love, got my heart broken, cried a lot. Family members died. A whole experience. A whole experience. I thought I was going to knock it over because my finger hit it. That wasn't even that funny. What are you laughing
Yes,
at?
it was. Like, well, one, I was going to ask, are all of these things you're saying true? Like, did you fall in love, get your heart broken, a family member died in your current house?
Not in the house, but those are things that I
While
had to...
living at the current house?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, I just thought...
Keep in mind, I lived there from like 6th grade up until I graduated from high school.
Yeah, a lot can happen.
Yeah.
No, I just thought you were like, you're just making stuff up. You're like got old, had a kid,
No.
fell in love, lost my love, remarried, like all at this current house.
And when I say fall in love, I don't mean it seriously. I was literally a child, so did get my heart broken.
I saw the Jonas Brothers on Disney Channel, and I knew They were the ones for me. All three of them.
No, this was a real person who went to my actual school.
Do you have a favorite Jonas Brother?
I was not into the Jonas Brothers. They were on the Disney Channel, right?
Yeah.
And I did not watch the Disney Channel. So, no. I can't even name all of them. There's Nick. There's Joe. I think there's Kevin, but I don't think Kevin is, like... I don't think he's a brother. He's, like, one of the extra brothers. That's it. And I know they have a sister and they have like a fourth brother.
I didn't know. Younger. You're like, I'm not into the Jonas Brothers at all. I didn't know they had a sister. I don't think they do, but
they do have a sister. There's a lot of people in that family.
Let me see. No, well, Kevin is a brother. He's not like just a member of the band and now a honorary brother. No, I mean
like a family. Because they had a younger brother, and I think his name might have been Kevin. But if he was a brother, like a brother, capital B.
Kevin's the oldest.
Oh. Well, you see, don't know much about them because I was never into them. So what can you do? But you know who I was into, though? The Naked Brothers Band. Because they had a show on Nickelodeon. And I think that was Nickelodeon's answer to, like, the Jonas Brothers. Try to get these two, like, kids to be, you know, a thing. It never panned out. The Jonas Brothers were always going to be bigger than them. But, yeah.
It seems it's just 4 brothers. I don't think they have a sister.
Are you sure? I could have sworn they had a sister.
The youngest brother's named Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie. All right, I'm looking up Jonas' sister, and we're going to see Lily. Wait. Why did it give me the giver? Oh, I just put Jonas' sister. Okay. The Jonas Brothers do have a sister. Oh, no, they don't.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought they had a sister for the longest time. There is no Jonas sister, I guess.
Oh, man, not just Arin exclusive. Well, see, that tangent wasn't worth it. I was just trying to make a joke. Yeah. What is it? All that to say, all of the Jonas Brothers are my favorite Jonas Brother. You know, I've had a phase where it's like Joe was, I think, my favorite. Are you being
serious?
Yeah. Joe was my favorite because he was like the cool one. Also, his name's Joe.
Okay.
So I relate to him, obviously. We all go, everyone named Joe, we all go through the same things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
And
was he in Camp Rock?
Yeah. Okay. All 3 of them were in Camp Rock.
No, but one of them was like the protagonist.
Joe.
Yeah, okay.
Then, I mean, like, I feel like Nick, maybe just Joe and Kevin. Maybe like, I feel like as I've gotten older, it's like, Kevin's like the underappreciated one because he wasn't like the vocals. He was just like the bass or whatever, and he was just kind of there. You know what I mean?
Who's the one with Sophie Turner?
Joe.
Okay.
Yeah. Nick. This bit isn't worth it. I'm ending it. It's not a bit. No, I was, but I don't know. It just divulged into my opinion on the Jonas Brothers. Like I don't know. I'm trying to be funny. And well, I think it was too serious to be funny. Like, I don't know. Like, there wasn't really anything to roll with. I don't know. It was weird. Okay. It was the comedy ended with, "Are you being serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like that's where it ended.
Well, no, I was never into the Jonas Brothers growing up. Or really any boy band. I was into Fall Out Boy, but not. I wouldn't say they're a boy band. They were a boy band. They are not any longer.
I mean, they're a band comprised of boys. I don't think they're a boy band. Well, that's true, but
they don't really make boy band music anymore.
Fall Out Boy isn't like...
Well, they're like a punk boy band. There's different genres.
I can agree with that. But I'm thinking like boy band, like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon.
Oh, well, what about like NSYNC or something? I'm talking about like...
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, I didn't like them because, you know... boys, but I just like their music.
Well, I feel like a boy band, it's like their attractiveness and their almost like directly marketing towards like females and like teenage females. Like that is a boy band, you know what I mean? Like One Direction, boy band, you know, like, and I think I can agree with you if you saying like Fall Out Boy being like a punk boy band. I can see like some like girls that shop at Hot Topic being like, "Yo,
back in the day,
Fall Out Boy is my favorite boy band." But I don't know. The like, yeah. Anyway, Am I back
discovered
to talking?
my love for Fall Out Boy in that house.
Am I back to talking about my moving? After that Jonas Brothers boy band divergence.
I mean, I guess that's the end of my childhood homes. I mean, I have lived technically other places since then, like college and now my current place that I'm living that I will soon be departing, but we can circle back to that. Let's throw it back to you. Jonas Lover 69.
There's 29.
29.
Yeah, Joe Jonas Lover 29.
Okay.
You're gonna guess my username. Guess it right. Anyway, this may need to be a two-parter because we can keep going. I just think probably don't want to go too much longer. If we want to make it a two-parter, but
I feel like if we make it a two-parter, we won't have much else to talk about, like what happened last time.
I think if we end it now, I would have a lot to talk about.
I don't want to do a two-parter though.
Okay. Well, I feel like I have too much to talk about for how much longer I want it to be. But we'll just, I don't know. We'll go where the wind blows. My throat still hurts. I feel like I need to go to the doctor.
Really?
I don't know. Not like urgently.
Oh.
Just like, oh, this has lasted like a week. Like
This lasted a week?
Yeah.
It's the first I'm hearing of it.
I don't know. I'm not like I am one to complain, but I think, I don't know. Maybe I just don't want to like whine and be like, oh, Aaron, what am I supposed to do? Text you to be like, Aaron, my throat hurts?
Maybe.
All right, I'll do
It'd
it.
be nice to get a text from you, like ever. You know?
So moving.
Even if it is inane.
Moving.
We last left off, and you were still in Virginia.
In the apartment. Well, I'm going to be in Virginia for a while.
So did you move around like a lot?
Well, a little. I mean, I can say here. I mean, like rapid fire. I still want to go through each individually, but let's say Honduras to a place in Virginia. Then I think from that place, I feel like there's one I don't know about because I was too young, but I want to say from that place to the apartment, then from the apartment to a house, then house to Mississippi, and then I don't know why this is, but I did have an experience where we moved into a house and then we moved out within a month because it was like a really bad house. There weren't any racists. We didn't get threatened or anything. Not as exciting as your story, in that regard. But it was a very like, I want to say sketchy. Like there was like bugs galore, like just like wasps like kind of in the roof. There was like mice, like big spiders. Like it was rough. It was practically like a barn. You know what I mean? With
Out in
how
the
bad it
country,
was.
or-
Kinda.
Okay.
A little like off on like a dirt road, like a little in the woods, but like still like 10 minutes from town, that sort of thing. But we lived there for a month and then got out of there as soon as we could. Then we moved into the mobile home, which you've never been to. I kind of forget some of the people that have been there.
In Mississippi?
Yeah. Well, it's just weird. It's weird to think of like
You've lived there since I've known you?
well, yeah, just since like 2013 to like
Okay.
college, end of college, so like most of my time in Mississippi, like most of high school and college.
Well, I mean, you haven't been to my house either.
No, I just think it's like, it's weird for me to think like, okay, which of my friends have like been to my house in my like Mississippi house, where it's like, oh, like girl Sam and boy Sam made a trip once. Patricia made a trip once. I guess my first girlfriend and Melissa have been over, but not my second. And I have one like enemy that came over to that house. Well, not like individually. It was like a group. It was a bunch of friends, and that one person was a friend at the time. But then, well, you gotta oof it or something,
I will.
or cut it out. But it was well, I guess we'll say it was a part of the friend group that I was in when I was like friends with / dating the tall woman from Texas.
Okay, so for a time you lived there.
Yeah, so lived there, then obviously went to college, stayed in what is it? We know the audience knows what college we've been to, right? Does it matter if I say what? No, I'm not living in the dorm. So I guess I lived in UV, which was like
the University Village. It was
you did
deluxe.
too. The deluxe.
I did too. And guess what? I was proud of it because I had my own washer and dryer. I did not have to pay for laundry when they started charging, and I had my own kitchen. I did not have to eat in the nasty calf.
Something about like when you said, and guess what? I was proud of it. Something like you turned into Patricia for me for a second. Like, I don't know, your mannerisms and like the way you said it, like, I don't know. You were Patricia for a second.
No.
It was interesting. So yeah.
We both lived in the deluxe dorm.
Yeah.
Which was interesting for me because, it was my first experience like living with legit strangers. Thankfully, I didn't have to share a bedroom because if I did, I probably would have ended up assaulting someone from but it was still an interesting experience, not something that I would want to do again, living with a stranger. But how did all of that go for you? Because I kind of talked about it at length in the last episode, or no, the episode
a couple
before
episodes
that,
ago. I think it was like 3 or 4, honestly. But well, I was still going through my rapid fire, I guess, which like you with the ones I'm counting as like how much I've like moved, I feel like you could also count some of your moves of like UV, and then you're currently in an apartment and then
I would count
moving
that
again. But so what is it? Lived in UV for a while, as well as my home in we'll just say near Starkville.
By cows.
Yeah, by cows on a farm
That didn't have names, apparently.
They were cattle. They were livestock. Like,
they still have names.
Who's gonna name them? Me?
You could.
There's too many. There was like 50 to 100. There was a lot.
Okay, this was not a small farm.
No.
Okay.
This was like a couple. I don't know how big an acre is, but it was a couple acres.
Aren't that small, or aren't that big actually?
It was more than one. Wait.
Wow, some farm that is.
I feel like acres are big.
Not really.
Okay, we're gonna.
Actually, I'm gonna look up how big an acre is in square feet.
I can ask my mom. I call her up right now.
At 9 at night, almost 10 o'clock.
She stays up until 11. She's like, and she's a night owl like me.
Oh wow. Okay, so 1 acre is. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna do square miles because feet does not miles. Yes. Okay. What's between a foot and a mile? I don't know. A meter?
A yard?
We'll say square meters. Okay, that's still not enough. I don't know. An acre is a really strange unit of measurement because back in the Dizay, an acre was just how much a horse could plow in like one day. It's literally what it was. So, I mean, that varies from horse to horse. Maybe you got a lazy horse. Maybe you feed your horse amphetamines.
Okay. All that to say, it was a pretty big farm.
Okay.
Like if you, I would say walked from like one end to the other, I would say it would take you like it's one long like dirt road or gravel road down the middle. I would say walking from one end to the other probably take you like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was big.
So if it takes the average person, okay, I can't say that. It kind of takes me, let's say, 25 minutes to walk a mile. We'll say that is roughly a half a mile.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure. So lived there. Then after COVID, because my parents were kind of dumb in the middle of COVID, lost my UV privileges, had to get an apartment, lived there for a week.
That was the first one, yeah.
Yeah, moved out, found another apartment, lived there for a year.
I was almost going to live there But things did not end up working out. It's not your fault.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
Well.
It's my fault.
Yeah.
Okay. Then lived there for a year. Then
you moved around kind of a lot in like the last year.
Yeah. Where it's like, okay, so then when that lease ended, I think, what did I do? For one night, I lived at my girlfriend's boss's house.
But he had cats.
He had cats and I couldn't breathe. And then I think, what did I do? Did I stay with my mom for a week? I feel like I stayed with my mom for a week. Then I found a place. Well, Melissa helped me find a place. Mm-hmm. Stayed there for 2 months.
And that was the old people.
Yeah.
In their like addition or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They just cut a part of their house, just walled it off, and it's like, we're gonna rent this out.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very very nice. I'll just leave it at that.
Played Doki Doki Literature Club there.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's like my prevailing memory.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of memories there. It's a very formative time for me because it's like, one, it's a very tumultuous, and then two, it's like I'm kind of like learning my like first job at the bookstore and like
and this was not long after I moved back. I want to say this is October.
Yeah.
And I moved back in like July, and then I started working in like August.
It was sooner than October. It ended in October. This was
right, yeah.
August and like, September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right about when I like moved back, so there's that.
Yeah.
Just a lot was going on.
This is somewhat of a tangent. But I don't know about you, but like I have like these like weird time periods of my life where like it's a really small amount of time, but like so much happens that like the memories are like so intense. You know what I mean? Like what is it? Specifically like the breakup with like the tall woman with Texas. That was like, I mean, technically, let's say, or let's not even say like the breakup. Let's say like
breakdown of the relationship.
Well, I mean like the breakup lasted longer than the relationship. So let's just say the relationship and the breakup. Let's say like January through I don't know. Let's say like April. You know what I mean? 4 months.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean.
4 months. So much happened in those 4 months. It felt like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like it's so much happened and it was so tense and stressful. I don't know if I ever told. I don't remember if I talked about this when like we talked about relationships on the previous episode, but like when I like found out she blocked me, I was like, and then I also found out that like the other people in the friend group, which like I hadn't, you know, we were kind of still in the same friend group still roughly. When I found out they knew and like supported her decision, and like some other people blocked me as well. Just one actually. The aforementioned enemy. This was when like a massive like storm was going on at campus. Like the power went out on campus.
Was it when it went out for like, I don't know, like 10 hours?
I don't know about that. I think it came back eventually, but
was it like, did it come back like at night? Because I remember there was this one time, there was a storm, like a tree fell down somewhere, the power was out, and then the sun like set, and it was kind of weird because everyone was just kind of like out and about, not really knowing what to do because the power was out. I feel like it was like in November during our sophomore year.
No, this wasn't in the spring.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I got broken up with in March 1st. Then I believe I got blocked on, it must have been April 13th.
Maybe it was April. I don't know. I just remember feeling particularly emo during that time.
Well, no, I think April 13th, there was like a massive storm where it's like, there was like a dance concert that was happening that night. There was like a play that was going on, and like the power went out, I think, across campus, maybe even Jackson, where it's like the dance concert was canceled. The play, I think, carried on in like candlelight. Like it was a really intense storm.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as I'm finding out all this information, like bombarding me, where it's like I've not only lost like, I guess like my girlfriend. Well, I guess she wasn't my girlfriend, but it's like we're not even like friends anymore. You know what I mean? She's blocked me. And then like my other friends who like at that time, like that whole friend group was kind of my friends. It's like they supported the decision. And so it's like, okay, I'm losing those friends. So it's like I felt like I was losing everything. And so in the middle of that storm, I just felt like this
an emotional storm within you.
Absolutely. And basically I just kind of felt this like welling up inside me. And so I like went outside of the student center and like screamed like as loudly as I could.
At what hour of the day?
I mean, it was night. It must have been like anywhere between like, I mean, a dance concert was happening. So I would say it was anywhere between like 8 or 9, maybe. But I mean, the storm was going on. The storm kind of like muffled it a little bit. But anyway, all that to say, intensity. And so I think the past year, so it's like that was like 4 months of intensity, half good, half bad. But the past year has been quite intense with everything going on with my family and then learning to be an adult, job, moving around. So anyway, old couple, Doki Doki Literature Club, that was 2 months. Then couldn't find a place, lived with my mom for a month, then finally found a place, and then I've been here for the past 5 months.
Yeah, and you living with your mom was particularly sad for me because I think we only saw each other maybe 2 or 3 times during that month.
Yeah, well, I also we could have saw each other more. I think potentially I may not have been up for it because I was pretty like stressed and I don't know. I guess we'll just say depressed. But I also didn't invite you. I did talk about this. No, I didn't invite you because it was like a 20-30 minute drive. And I was just like, oh, maybe she doesn't want to do that. But yeah, so there was like a month where we didn't see each other that much. And
then you moved here.
Yes.
And you told me like 2 hours before you were going to start moving.
Really?
Yes.
Man, I'm terrible.
Yeah. Because I remember you texted me and then I like called you immediately after because I didn't even know you were moving. Like, I didn't know you found a place or anything like that. So, yeah, I helped you move into here. That was, who knows? I can't remember.
It was in November. Wait, no, it wasn't.
No?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Because I lived with my mom October. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And soon you will be leaving here.
In 4 months.
It's pretty soon. 4 months? Hold on. When?
End of August or beginning of August. So
dang, we're gonna be moving around the same time.
Well, honestly, I wish I was moving now. I think like I wish I had signed a 6-month lease because then Melissa and I would be moving at the same time. Bada bing, bada boom. But for I don't know various reasons, it was thought to be safer to get a 9-month lease, but. Which it was. I think it was the smart move, but I don't know. I wonder, like, what prevented me and Melissa from, like, connecting the dots, sort of, to, like, be like, oh, if you do a 6-month lease, we'll move around the same time. Like, yeah.
Did you not know you were going to live together until recently?
Maybe we hadn't at the time.
Okay.
Maybe we hadn't. So I don't know. I'd have to, like, ask Melissa of, like, where were we at? You know, headspace wise. Also, maybe another factor was like shorter lease, more rent. And when I had signed this lease, my job still only paid $7.25 an hour. So higher rent was kind of off the table.
Not an option, yeah.
Then like a month or 2 later, it was like, hey, minimum wage increase $9 now, and it's like, oh, that's really good. And then like promotion $10, like, and so that like if that had been the case when I signed it, then that would have made like a 6-month lease more feasible. But I guess I still have plenty more to say because, like, I honestly, like, I didn't even talk about my house in Virginia. I really only talked about, like, the apartment and then kind of, like, how much I've moved in the past, like, year or the past couple months, as well as, like, maybe just how much I moved in my life. So I still have a lot more to say. So we could maybe do a part 2. But we gotta go.
Right now?
Yeah, my siblings want to play Fall Guys.
Oh, okay. Well, duty calls for not Arin, so perhaps I have to ask our producer if there will be a part 2 to this episode. So this has been the 12th?
I think so. I feel like you always forget so much that you can't expect me to keep track now.
This is the 12th. This has been the 12th episode of the Not Just Arin podcast. You can listen to us on all major podcast platforms. That is Spotify, Apple, and Google, as well as YouTube. I think I keep forgetting YouTube for some reason. You can also listen to us on YouTube. We are the Not Just Arin podcast on all of those places. Follow us on our social medias. That is Twitter and Instagram at Not Just Arin Pod. To discuss all things Not Just Arin, you can use the hashtag NJAPod. And also, because I need to promote myself more apparently, you can follow me, Arin, on YouTube at It's Just Arin with an A. Don't forget the A. And also follow me on Twitter because I have hot takes from time to time at It's Just Arin _. So who are we sponsored by today?
I don't know. I wait. Imagine Dragons.
All right. Thank you to Imagine Dragons for supporting the Not Just Arin podcast financially. We couldn't do it without you.
I wanna. You're plugging all your socials. I want to say, like,
You don't have any.
You can follow me, not Arin, at Joey Lowy on Letterboxd. That is JoeyLowy. And if I get a random follower on Letterboxd, sick. Yeah.
You can also follow me on Letterboxd. At It's Just Arin _. Maybe. I forgot if there's an underscore or not. It doesn't matter. I'm in his follows and following, so you can find me. So
you can find me. Anyway, also, we can. This can be the ending or whatever. But when you hit the cup, that was super funny.
How?
Like, I wish we were like actually recording video because like you bumped it, but like the look on your face, like your eyes just went like wide. You're just like. Like,
because I thought it was gonna fall over.
It was so dire. Like the reaction was so like strong compared to what actually happened, where it's like you just went like, but then like it was, but the way you looked is like it happened and you were like, like it looked like a bomb was gonna go off or something.
Well, all right.
Which good for you for being cautious, but yeah.
Well, $500 of equipment here can't mess with any of that. Water, electronics,
yeah, these
not
jeans
friends.
Are expensive.
They're khaki pants.
These are jeans. They're khaki jeans.
Whatever. Anyway.